week 11. This is the time of year where feelings start to get hurt. It's fantasy do or die. So you know what? Let's do it. Thursday night, Commanders at the Eagles. It took a while, but the Eagles finally got on with it. Saquon Barkley burst through that game. He burst the game wide open with a couple of electrifying runs, is what I'm getting at, as he is known to do. The Eagles have a lot of weapons, and the Commanders and Dan Quinn definitely will need to reckon with this in the future if they want to get over this hump. Birds at home. Sunday. Packers at the Bears. The Pack has the Bears number. Simple as that. To make matters worse, Chicago continuity as a club really has taken a hit. Listen, the Eberflus lost that club after the Hail Mary, and things have been rocky ever since. There's some talent on the Bears team, but they would have to want to turn it on. Do you know what I mean? They would need to believe in the program, and I just don't see that right now. And when you don't believe, it's just safer to pack it in. Wait till next year. And vets aren't burning the wheels for nothing. So Packers D looks good in this week. For seasonal, I'd feel good about the run game with Josh Jacobs as well. Jaden Reed in seasonal as a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 if you're in a bye week hell situation. Other than that, let's stay away from this one. Pack wins, but it remains to be seen how much they'll actually have to do it. The Raiders travel to Miami all the way across the country to play the Dolphins. And this is an early game, too, so this is going to feel like, this is that West Coast going to East thing. It's like a whole biological clock thing. For them, it's going to feel like playing a ball game at 9 or 10 in the morning, which, so think about that, right? But also, fins up, man, and they better, because the Raiders don't have a coherent offense, which has really slowed down what the defense has ever been able to be capable of this year. Best play for me is probably the Miami defense. The rest of the Miami players are seasonal guys for me this week. Maybe Mostert as a salary saver for GPPs on the low end, but that would probably be it. This is a game the Dolphins should win. Ravens at the Steelers. This is the offense that Mike Tomlin was thinking of, or more like it, when he replaced Fields with Wilson at quarterback. They look like they're capable of playing at another level than they were previously at. The addition of Mike Williams at the deadline has also helped every facet of things for Pittsburgh on offense. Freiermuth is a cash game play for me this week at tight end. He will be a much-needed check-down option for Russ. Pickens in seasonal looks fine. Also, steady as she goes, boys. Steady as she goes. While on the other side, we know what we're getting. This is going to be the Lamar Jackson show, co-starring King Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews is a GPP tight end this week, but Henry really sets the tone for them on the ground against a tough defensive opponent at home this week. Lamar feels more like a seasonal play this week. Steelers are going to be tough at home, but I believe the Ravens find a way. Jaguars at the Lions. Lions are rolling, and it looks like another week of opportunity for them. The Jaguars barely have a pulse at this point. Whether it's Bigsby or Etienne, it's no matter. Jacksonville will be chasing this week. They also have Mac Jones at the helm. Nope. Lions D looks great in light of this news, and Amon-Ra gets it going this week. He and Goff make a great GPP play this week as this Jacksonville defense is hapless against the pass. Gibbs and Demon should have some room on the ground too, but they're probably a bit too expensive for DFS this weekend. Lions at home, they'll keep winning and cruising. Went to the Rams at the Patriots. Patriots are absolutely dreadful against the run. So Kyron Williams looks like a fine play this week for GPPs. The Pats are just too soft for this to be a cash game play. What I mean by that is they might fold early and leave a little offense or leave little offense, I should say, for the opponent down the stretch because the game is iced already. That is a genuine concern with us this week with this one. So Puka over Cup for me this week. For the price of Cup, we could just play St. Brown like we want to anyway. No interest in Stafford for DFS since the run game is set up so well this week. Either way, Rams on the road. But the big play from New England has got to be, for me, Demario Douglas this week. They will be chasing, and the Rams secondary provides some opportunities for production. Drake May has shown he can get the ball out a little bit. We don't need him at his price versus Aaron Rodgers. But, yeah, Douglas is a no-brainer for cash games at that low price of $4,700 this week. Browns at the Saints. Jameis Winston gonna battle his former team, the Saints, this week. One of his former teams, I should say. I think this is the week for moderately good Jameis to come out. To that tune, Cedric Tillman will keep rocking this week. He's been on fire for the last month, and he's $5,300. This is a good environment versus the Saints secondary, minus Marshawn Lattimore since he was traded. Njoku is a nice GPP play this week at $5,500. I even think Ford can be a salary saver behind Chubb for cash games at 44. Excuse me, at $4,400. He's back healthy, and he should see at least 10 touches. Let's take advantage of that for the cheap this week. That's going to be the key to locking in everything we want to afford in cash games. Carr is interesting on the other side. Sorry, guys, allergies. Carr's interesting on the other side for GPPs. If you want to pair him with MVS, that is totally fine. Kamara is seasonal. He costs too much for DFS. Kamara costs too much for DFS. Saints win, but Jameis does enough to keep the Browns close throughout. Colts at Jets. Sorry, seasonal allergies, man. Santa Ana winds in Los Angeles. If you guys don't know, when they kick up, it's just like 60 to 100 mile an hour gust of winds that come down into the valley, and it makes like breathing intolerable. Anywho, Colts at Jets. Richardson gets the nod at QB this week since Flacco was so bad last week, just like we knew he would be here at the process. Colts defense is going to play hard to try to keep them in this one. But JT on the ground also looks great for GPPs. He looked pretty good last week. This isn't a soft matchup up front, but it is winnable for this O-line. Let's move the pile. JT at $7,600 for GPPs. We in there. I won't take any chances with Richardson or his receivers. Bringing it back, Breece Hall in seasonal, his upside has been hampered, largely capped with Rodgers calling the plays. Rodgers is well priced at $5,500 though this week. We want to play him in GPPs. You can play either receivers, Adams or Wilson, but I prefer Adams. I wouldn't play them together. Pick one. Or make two lineups with Rodgers, basically, is what I would say. And then, with each playing in one of them. Jets D is intriguing at $2,800, but I don't see a high upside there, so that would be a floor play. But there's better floor play, so I'll take the Jets at home. Vikings at the Titans. Anyone who's been watching week to week can see that Sam Darnold is losing whatever it was that he had to start the year. His inability to elevate his play has been noticeable. The offense seems to be running in place. Luckily for them, they get a Tennessee team that hasn't been much good regardless of who's playing at QB. The Titans' run game is also suffering right now. The O-line, just isn't pushing anyone, and a lack of a real threat of an aerial game makes it easy to stack the box against Pollard. Vikings defense is obviously in a good spot. Play them in DFS if you can afford it. You know who else is in a good spot this week? Aaron Jones. That's who. He's in a good spot. Fire him up for GPPs. Jefferson is too expensive for DFS this week, but I do feel he gets it going. In seasonal, it would be I would feel very good about him this week, but I would be fading the rest of the Minnesota pass gang. Vikings with the road win in Tennessee for me this week. Falcons at the Broncos. Bad beat last week for the Broncos, but we do see that they are, molding into what Peyton Manning wants them to, Peyton Manning, excuse me. We do see that they are molding into what Coach Peyton wants them to be, if you will. Sorry about that. But you couldn't ask for more from Bo Nix. He's doing what he can as an unheralded rookie QB. They finally have draft picks again after getting out of the shadow of the Russ Wilson deal. So things are looking up. It's still a battle each week, though. All types of problems this week. Now my chair's moving. It's still a battle this week, though. So it's going to be a tougher test against Atlanta. Bijan Robinson is a great play this week for the Falcons. Look, whatever problems I'm having sitting and breathing and sneezing, don't take it against the picks. I promise you, I put a lot of good work in this, and we're all going to effing win this week. I promise you. The Denver defense is probably better suited against the pass game, but Cousins is likely to still have volume on his side. So for seasonal, he's going to be okay. Pitts is GPP playable for me this week. As far as Denver goes, I don't care if it's Estime or Williams or whoever it is this week. It's a difficult matchup. Somehow they will stammer out some production on the ground, but nothing we need for DFS. Sutton is a playable option for us in season-long format. This will be a tough game, though. The Broncos are going to come out strong after last week's debacle, I feel. At the end of the game, they got soured last week with that field goal. I'm taking them in the emotional win at home this week. Seahawks at the Niners. Another week, another step closer to full strength for the 49ers. That's that story. CMC is an emotional play on DFS at best. He costs too much, so let's stay away from that. But for seasonal, we got to feel very good about him about that. The Seahawks don't provide much resistance. Purdy's in a nice spot again this week, so we can play him for GPPs this week. I don't really love any of the ancillary pieces for the 49ers offense, but they're all in play for seasonal, so you can play your Debos, your CMCs, your Kittles, your Jennings. For GPPs this week, I do want to play, and I do want to pay down to play Ricky Pearsall. There is clearly some chemistry there with him and Purdy, and I think that he stays in the mix this week at $4,900. He just allows us access to this offense, and we can use that, more salary to pay up elsewhere. That is how we're going to net a high-end QB1 and a high-end and a high-end wide receiver one, bringing it back with that QB1. Now, on the other side of things, the Seahawks, they're going to be chasing all day. Because of this, it's hard to like Kenneth Walker this week for DFS. To make matters worse, the Seattle's 27-year-old starting center just abruptly retired this week. So I'm going to stay away from everything but Smith and Jigba. I'm taking the 49ers at home in a game that I do not expect to be close throughout. Chiefs at the Bills. Let's get on to this one. Almost nothing can keep me from Josh Allen this Sunday. He's my cash game QB all the way for sure. The matchup is not great, but he will need to be at his best and very productive for the Bills to have a chance. His running upside is also very appealing in this one. It's not that I'm, down on Cook as a player, but I'm not that interested in him this week because I feel that all the offense is going to be facilitated through Allen in this one. Cooper should play, and I will fade him for DFS. But we love that he's playing because, this opens up things for Khalil Shakir underneath. Shakir suffers when they don't have that true deep threat over the top. Keon Coleman is okay, but Cooper is the guy that makes it work. He's the guy that makes it appealing. So Shakir in cash games for me, pairing him with Allen just makes a ton of sense at his price, which is soft at $6,300. St. Brown, Shakir, and Cedric Tillman. This is where I'm going for wide receiver in cash games. This week on Sunday, those prices and my confidence in their roles, makes this week's lineups like pretty much very straightforward for me in terms of what build I want to use. So I'm going to use these guys and build everything around that this Sunday. For Kansas City, Mahomes is interesting, but I'm going to stay away. Kelsey and GPPs, so tournaments, it's definitely playable for me this week. Maybe just seasonal for D-Hop, though, at wideout. But Kareem Hunt, that's my cash game running back for this week, one of them. It's going to be him and Ford. So, run D is a sore spot for Buffalo, and this Kansas City team is very balanced and wants to play as such. Even if they find themselves trailing, Hunt's an option in the pass game. So we're going to take the Bills at home here, but the Chiefs are going to make it competitive. This is going to be their toughest task to date. But again, Buffalo should win the football game. Sunday night, the Bengals have to travel to L.A. to take on the Chargers. The Bolts are 1.5-point favorites in this one. Only I ain't buying it. The Chargers have been good against the not-so-good teams. Cincinnati is a good club, and we've seen how explosive they are on offense. I can't side against what my own eyes have seen. I like Brown with his goal line work. He can easily amass 75 all-purpose yards in a tutty. That's what I'm banking on for seasonal this week. Higgins will play too. So for, Burrow, he has his full complement of weapons. Gesicki takes a hit with Higgins return. Guys, there's only so much football to go around, basically. But Jamar Chase can definitely hit double-digit points, but I would not expect another 44-point shellacking for DFS this week, probably. Bengals D is suspect. Look, we can't trust them to stuff the Chargers completely. So Ladd McConkey's a good play. On the ground, I expect a split between J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, with Edwards getting a bit more. He looked a bit more explosive last week than Dobbins did. Herbert has been the quintessential game manager for the Chargers, and he hasn't hurt them. But that being said, I don't think he's going to be the difference maker they would need to have in this one for them to win. Cincinnati gets out of California with the road win, and finally on a Monday, Battle of Texas. Texans at the Cowboys. The Cowboys stunk last week. Of course, the expectations for them this week are low now. Cooper Rush historically, though, has been able to find Lamb. I expect that connection to come through this week. The run game remains pedestrian. The Texans have really missed Nico Collins. They literally need him to stretch the defense. So so his presence this week elevates Stroud for sure. This helps Tank Dell also. Mixon should grind out another solid game, but his game is going to be dependent on Rush. If Rush can pump some life into the offense of the Cowboys, then Mixon's, he basically would be game scripted out, essentially. However, if the Dallas offense falls flat again, then the Texans D is going to be shining, and Mixon will be running the clock down. So either way, the Cowboys are going to lose this game. Texans on the road. But good luck this week to everyone, and let's meet right back here next week where we're going to learn, scout, win, and repeat.